Hello and welcome to my Thunderhawk versus Orion dropship video. I'll be taking a look at both of these models from Forge World and giving you my thoughts and opinions on which one you should pick if you're in a position to pick just one of them. To start off with, the Space Marine Legion Thunderhawk on the left hand side, this one here is £450. It's a huge amount of money, it's a big investment, it's a big kit, but in my opinion it's one of the best kits out there. It's a very enjoyable kit to make, to build, and really tests your skill and how you overcome certain issues and things. And the Orion dropship on the right, this one here, is cheaper. It's £275, so it's £175 cheaper than the Thunderhawk. From a model point of view, hands down, I would say go out and get a Thunderhawk. The Thunderhawk is almost as easy to build. You won't get as many sort of niggling little issues with it, but I suppose it really depends on whether you have a Space Marine army already, or you have a Custodian Guard army, or you're new to all this and you want to think about creating a Custodian Guard force, and you want the Orion dropship as a centerpiece to your force, and something that you can use in all of your battles. And it's certainly more usable in games for a number of reasons. One, because it's got a little base. Another reason, because it's got a big base that it barely sort of holds on to, whereas the Thunderhawk is a bit more cumbersome. Unless you want to make your own base for it, it's going to be difficult to sort of use that in sort of smaller games. So model wise, of course, the Thunderhawk is bigger, it has more pieces, and it has a lot more options. By that I mean I'll go through some of the options and things that the Thunderhawk has, and then we'll have a look at the Orion. So the Thunderhawk has this top cockpit that opens. I haven't painted mine at all yet, but you can either spray this, or you can paint the frame of it. You can paint the two Space Marines inside, so it does have two Space Marines. It has these heavy bolters on the side. There's two of them, two twin link ones, and then it has this door which open and closes quite nicely. I've magnetised mine on the side, on the other side I think, so that will stay in when it's shut. It has the 6 missiles, and it has twin linked heavy bolters underneath each wing. It has this turbo laser weapon, basically a Titan killer weapon, and then it has twin linked las cannons at the top on these foil wings, which I've magnetised so that you can have them raised up or lowered. It really is up to you. It does weigh a fair bit. It's a good weighty model, and definitely has a lot of presence. And if you're thinking about this or a Stormbird, I'd go for this. It's more manageable, it's still a big model, and it's very iconic for Space Marines. I was a kid and I imagined getting a metal one, so there you go. The Orion, on the other hand, is smaller. It's wider though. The troop area is wider, but then it goes into a thinner nose. It doesn't have a detailed cockpit like the Thunderhawk, but it does have a similar sort of setup with these nose-mounted weapons. It's got two twin-linked Lastrum bolt cannons, which I've magnetised to give me some movement. It has these heavy Arachnus blaze cannons, and then it has some spiculous bolt launchers. Another feature, in a similar sort of vein to the attack wings of the Thunderhawk, it has these little flaps here that just come off. I haven't magnetised them, but they hold in quite steadily, and you can move them about. Then if we look at the rear, we've got a door that I've magnetised, so that will just magnetise shut, and then it does have a sort of detailed interior, but you can never really get to a position where you can make good use of looking at any of that. Then it has these large nacelles for the engines. So both good looking models. Definitely the Orion fits in with the aesthetics of the Custodian Guard, and likewise Thunderhawk for the Space Marine Legion. But the main focus of this video wasn't just looking at the models themselves and how easy they are to build and the options and posability and things of them. The main draw and focus was the rules. Now, I'm not going to talk about 40k 8th edition in this video because that would be unfair for the Orion. The Orion doesn't have any 8th edition rules. The Thunderhawk does, so I won't include them. Instead, I'll just compare both of their Horus Heresy rule sets. And for that, I'll be using both the rules from Forge World's website for the Orion, and I'll be using the Legion's Astartes Age of Darkness army list for the Thunderhawk. So the Thunderhawk on the left hand side is 685 points, although you can give it a flare shield and an armoured cockpit, wood-crafted hull, things like that. It comes with armoured ceramite, so just put that into perspective. Its ballistic skill is 4, its front and side armour is 12, and its rear is 10, and it has 9 hull points. I always thought that was a bit odd, because it basically meant that a Sakaran armour was more, and so was a Deredio Dreadnought armour. They were both more in terms of each side, but then again it is an aircraft. It's a super heavy flyer. It's got the hull mounted Thunderhawk cannon, but you can change that to the turbo laser Destructor for 90 points, which mine has, so you are then running it at 775 points. So closer to 800 points now for the Thunderhawk with 9 hull points. It's got the 4 mounted twin linked heavy bolters, 6 Hellstrike missiles, and 2 hull mounted las cannons. It also has a machine spirit, by the way. The transport capacity is 30 models, and it can carry Legion Dreadnoughts, which count as 10 models each. Dreadnoughts, that's an interesting point, so you can pretty much pack it with 3 Dreadnoughts if you wished. So definitely a good deployment method with all of its arsenal and all the other rules that come with it for as a deployment method for getting your Dreadnoughts up close and personal. The Turbo Laser Destructor, which I would definitely go for, is a range 96-inch, destroyer strength AP2, primary 1, large blast 5 inches. So it's a very decent sort of Titan killer weapon. You can replace those Hellstrike missiles with heavy bomb clusters, which are strength 6, apocalyptic barrage 6-1 use, and you can give it the void crafted hull, which basically means that the rear armour is increased to 12, and I'd strongly suggest you do that, and that's another 35 points. So then we're talking 810 points on the nose. So already that is 205 points more than the Orion dropship. Let's talk about the Orion dropship. So its ballistic skill is better at 5, its front armour is better at 13, side is the same at 12, and base stat line, its rear is better at 11. It only has 2 hull points less, with hull points of 7. It's still a super heavy flyer, hover and transport. It's still an assault vehicle, but it has deep strike, which the Thunderhawk does not have deep strike. The weapons, it has the 2 Arachnus pattern heavy blaze cannons, the 2 nose mounted twin link laster and bolt cannons, the 2 spiculous heavy bolt launchers, has the extra armour, the armoured ceramite, an eclipse shield, macro array strike, and an armoured cockpit. You see, the armoured cockpit you'd have to buy for the Thunderhawk along with the flare shield. Now its transport capacity, it can carry 24 models, so 6 models less, but it can only carry a single dreadnought, single contempt dreadnought, the Achilles or the Galatus. Both of them count as 10 models each. Now when you look at the models, yes, you can put Sisters of Silence in there, that's fine, but because Custodian Guard are bulky, they count as 2 models, so you can either carry 12 Terminators, because they still count as bulky as opposed to normal Custodian Guard, but you could carry 12 Terminators or 12 normal Custodian Guard, and that would be a lot. Or you could carry 7 with a Dreadnought. So, you know, be that as it may, that's your sort of transport options. The rules that it has is this macro array strike, which I talked about in my rules review, where it causes all kinds of havoc for units that want to deep strike near it and take it down, and also models that want to use interceptor fire, they get affected too. Its eclipse shield is fantastic, only affects the front firing arc, but it does reduce the strength of weapons by 1. And then glancing or penetrating hits, it then gets shrouded. So that's another little thing that the Thunderhawk doesn't have, that when it starts taking damage, it then becomes even more difficult to hit and to damage. The grav backwash is fantastic because it keeps away any sort of well, deep striking units, but also units that want to assault it. Now, weapons wise, it is a tough one. The Orion dropship, when you go for burst fire and maximum coverage, you can get a good 20 shots out of that. And other than the Spiculous Bolt Launcher, which is AP4, it still gets rending. Most of those shots will be AP3. The Thunderhawk, on the other hand, will be getting 12 heavy bolter shots, 2 las cannon shots. They count as 2, they're not twin linked, it's 2 hull mounted las cannons. That's 14. Then you've got 6 shots with the Hell Strikes, that's 20. And then you've also got your Turbo Laser Destructor, which is your 5-inch blast template. That 5-inch blast template might make all the difference. Your heavy bolters, we're looking at it from a Space Marine versus Space Marine sort of point of view. And the Orion, with a better ballistic skill, I know the Thunderhawk is twin linked, but with a better ballistic skill, it's got a better chance of hitting all the units. With the higher strength weaponry and the, I say higher AP, you know what I mean, it's also got a better chance of wounding and completely killing outright, whereas the Thunderhawk hasn't. The Thunderhawk, the 6 missiles, which are 1 use only, you're only going to get your 20 shots that one turn, and then you're going to be down to 14, whereas the Orion, 20 shots every single turn. And with all of its extra rules regarding being shot at, it may well be much more survivable. Now you may be thinking, but that Thunderhawk has got that D weapon. Yes, it's a great D weapon, but if you have a concentrated blast from the Arachnus heavy blaze cannons, you're getting 2 shots at 72-inch range, which is only 24 inches shy of the turbo laser. It's still strength 10, it's AP 1, and it does have exo shock. So penetrating hit on a target, you roll a d6, you get another penetrating hit on a 4+, which cover saves can't be taken. So although the Orion doesn't have the D weapon, those Arachnus heavy blaze cannons are pretty horrific anyway. Then you factor in that you can burst fire them with a 48-inch range at AP3 strength 8 heavy 4 each. You're 8 shots there that are most likely going to hit and most likely going to kill outright. Then you couple that with those Lastrum bolt cannons, which have the heliothermic detonation, which again kill outright. The Orion is much more deadly in terms of its shooting, in my opinion, looking at all the rules, looking at the number of shots, looking at the consistency of the shots, the ability to get them on target and to cause the damage as well. Where the Thunderhawk sort of trumps the Orion is in the transport capacity. It can carry 6 more Space Marines, but it has that vital ability to carry more than 1 dreadnought, carrying the 3 dreadnoughts, the bikes, the jump infantry, and so on. However, in terms of the unit, the Orion is the more efficient unit, hands down. It's much cheaper at 605 points, you know, pretty much 200 points cheaper, which is what, one of the Contemptor dreadnoughts, isn't it? Or squad of Custodian Guard. So although it can carry slightly less models, it's better armed, it's better armoured in many different ways, and it's a more effective use of those points. Model-wise, in my opinion, to build and to paint and to have a centrepiece, the Thunderhawk takes it. If you can't already tell by now, I'm really enamoured by the Thunderhawk gunship, this new revised model. It was very straightforward to build, a lovely model, and a great piece for the collection. But in terms of rules-wise and effectiveness on the battlefield, the Orion beats it. So if you're looking at a unit that will get its points back quite quickly, protect your high-value units, and is much more usable on a gaming board, then go for the Orion. If you haven't got a Space Marine Legion already and you're thinking about getting into Horus Heresy and you really like the look of the Custodian Guard, then yeah, you can't really go wrong with the Orion dropship. Yes, it is a little bit pricey, but it's still a big model. It's got excellent rules to go with it now. And that's all I really wanted to say about Thunderhawk versus Orion. It's pretty much a draw. Prefer the model for the Thunderhawk, but I prefer the Orion for the rules. What do you guys think? Put it in the comments below. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.